guys, welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. Hello to all of my new subscribers and thank you so much. Wow, there's so many of you now. It feels like so many to me anyway. You have to excuse this. I've literally, my hair's air drying. I've just got out of the shower. But let's just get to it. So now let's see, is there anything else I wanted to clear up before I get into it? Not really. So I hope, again, I like to try things with my channel. I like to mix it up. So there's some reaction music videos going up, as you'll see. There will always be story times. There will still always be challenges or just silly things. I'll, vlogging and various different things. So for the ones who've come over from the music reaction, stick around, listen to some of my crazy stories, or go check out one like the time my parachute didn't open, or the time when I jumped out the window. Yeah, that's some juice. Juice? Yeah, juice is the new tea, I'd say. No, clutching at straws, literally. Let's get into the video. So, for obvious reasons, I'm going to change. This is going to have to be a part 1 and a part 2, I think, because there is just too much ish to even get through with this individual. So this is the worst, I would say, relationship I ever had. I'm talking just toxic. Okay, where do I even start? I am going to say what his job was, but I'm not going to say his name. So I'll start with how we met. Take a seat, get yourself a drink, sit yourself down. Ready? Okay, let's go. So I was a single parent at this time. I'm not sure how that's relevant, but I was. And yeah, I was doing just fine on my own. And this one day, I was getting ready for holiday, so I went shopping in M&S, and I wanted some just like some flip-flops. So I got up in the morning, drove to my local kind of outlet place, got some food shopping, and I thought I'll go and look at some flip-flops while it's nice and early and quiet in the shop. So I went and did that. And now I walked past this guy and he was smiling at me really sort of strange. I thought, like, but I'm always like that. I'm like, is there something on my face? Why are they looking? Is it my nose? Is it? So he kind of looked at me and had this almost smirk, but a smile. I didn't know which way to take it. And I didn't really think that much of it, to be honest. But I do know at the time, I wasn't eating a whole lot and I was doing a whole lot, like running around, crazy person. I was driving up and down from south to north, like at least once or twice a week at this point. So I was exhausted. And I remember going to pick up this pair of sandals, and they're on like a bottom shelf. So I go to pick them up and I feel not right. So I go find the bathroom in M&S and I splash some water on my face. I'm like, okay, you're feeling like, is this anxiety or am I just not feeling good? And then I felt a lot better. So I gave it a minute, then I went back upstairs. And not that I gave it a second thought at the time, but this guy seemed to be gone. Not that I noticed at the time. And I went back to the shoes I wanted to look at. So I bent down to pick them up. And the next thing I remember was I woke up with people all around me, And I just passed out because I wasn't taking care of myself. I just passed out. And the first voice, and this is going somewhere. This is just how we met. The first voice I heard was a man, and I heard a radio, and I thought like, oh, he's security or something, and he's holding my hand, and I'm like face down, so I can't see him. And he's saying, "Hey, you're okay? We've called an ambulance. Do you have any medical conditions?" And he's asking me all these things, and I'm like, "No, I don't know who it is." And then the paramedics turn up eventually, and the managers of the shop and the staff that are trying to kind of like get everyone else out of the way while I'm face planted on the floor. I just fainted because I wasn't taking care of myself. But anyway, so I noticed the shopkeeper starts to look at the guy with the radio like weird, because he turned around and he said, "I've already radioed for an ambulance." And the shopkeeper says to him, well, the M&S store manager said to him, "Oh, who are you?" And he went, "Oh, I'm an on-duty police officer. I'm undercover." So he was a plainclothes police officer, but he just happened to be in the store, I don't know, grabbing some
One
lunch.
moment. Sorry, I couldn't find just happened to be in your music.
Okay, Siri. So anyway, I wake up and I see that, and so I realise, oh, and I'm still quite confused, and so is the manager of the store, because I just thought it was the security guard or something, but he was in like normal clothes, but whips out this massive walkie-talkie, and he's radioed for an ambulance. And then I hear him saying, no, I'm a police officer, da 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 da. And then when the paramedics turn up, they turn me over. And I realise it was the guy who walked past me earlier with this smirk on his face. And I'm like, huh, how strange is that? I was a bit embarrassed. I hate to admit it now, but he was attractive. And it pains me to say that. Trust me, pains me. So, I just can't get over the fact I just said that, like, because I just despise this person. So, here we go, and the paramedics are like checking me out. They say, we'll put you in the ambulance because your heart rate's all over the place, your blood sugar is low. So there I go, going to the ambulance, and there's a bang on the door, and it's this police officer again. What can we call him? We'll call him Steve. We'll call him Steve. So Steve knocks on the door, and he said, the paramedic's like, yeah, what? He's like, I'll take her car keys so that she doesn't get locked in. And I'm like, oh, okay. And the paramedic's like, you okay with that? I'm like, yeah, I guess. And I wasn't thinking clear because I'm just foggy. And I'm like, okay. So I give him the keys. He finds my car. I tell him which car it is. He finds it. I don't know what. He drives it wherever. I go to the hospital. They decide I need to go to the hospital, so I go to the hospital. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm clearly just exhausted and need to take better care of myself. So I go home after a very brief checkup. Maybe I skipped the checkup because I knew it was a waste of time. So I went pretty much straight home. I took a taxi. And then I was like, oh, hang on. How am I going to get my car? Wait, where is my car? So I thought, well, it must be outside my house. Well, no, because he doesn't know where I live. And it started to dawn on me, hang on, how am I going to do this? I'll have to go to the police station in the local area. And then I realised what I'd done is I'd, in essence, given my keys to an absolute stranger for my car. And I was like, okay. So off I go. I'm trying to make sure I've got all the details right. So off I go to my home, and the car is not there. So then I go to the local police station. I walk there, it's not too far. And I go to the front desk where all the police officers are, and I say, I think one of your police officers has my car keys. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah. I gave a police, they said, well, who was it? And someone doesn't want me to tell the story. Sorry, timer. So it's every time I film, it does that. Every time I put the camera on. So anyway, so I'm saying to these guys, these police officers at the front desk, yeah, I gave my keys. They said, well, what was his name? I said, oh, I don't know. And they were like, okay, you don't know. I'm like, no, I forgot. I think he gave me his name, but they said, okay, you need to come sit down, run us through what happened, because you've given to your keys. Oh, that was it. They said, was he wearing a uniform? And I'm like, no. They said, so you've given your keys to a stranger who said he was a police officer. And I'm like, no, he was, because he had a radio and he called the ambulance. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I've been scammed. I've been scammed. And then I go, yeah, because as I'm about to be walked off to this room to talk about where my car was, I say, yeah, I fainted in M&S, and then they all go, oh, you're that girl. And I'm like, what girl? They said, no, we know who's got your keys. And I'm like, oh, great. So and they say, oh, it's Steve. He's in custody at the minute in another place. But if you leave your name and number, we'll make sure your car gets back to you. And I'm like, oh, okay. They said, we know what happened. And they've all got this sort of smirk on their face. And I'm like, Okay. So I take my merry ass back home. I go back home, and within 20 minutes, he knocks at my door with my car. This Steve. And I couldn't really look him in the eye because I felt ridiculous, because when he saw me just a few hours before, I was like a mess with mascara down my face and face planted, and you know, you're going to feel a bit embarrassed about that. So I was he was at the front doorstep. I said, thank you for doing what you did. At this point, I hadn't twigged why he did what he did. I just was still a bit. So I've got the car. He hands me an envelope which has the car keys in. He says, there's your car keys. And he's in a bit of a hurry. And I'm like, well, okay, you know, he's an officer on duty. That's fair enough. So off he goes. And I'm like, oh, okay, bye then. It was just a bit weird how he kind of rushed off. He, okay, yeah, I'm fine, great. There's your car keys, rushed off. Didn't think too much of it. Open the envelope. My car keys are there with a note. With a note, ladies and gentlemen. This note said his name with his phone number. He'd call me if you need rescuing again, he wrote on it. Okay, very, very smooth, I get it. And I'm thinking, well, he wasn't unfortunate looking, and I'm single, but I was too shy to do anything about it. And I thought, oh, I don't know. And I was thinking, is he allowed to do that? Is he allowed to do that? I don't know. He's on duty. Should he be doing that? I suppose. I don't know. I don't know the rules, whatever. So I didn't call. I stored the number in my phone, and I thought, okay, maybe, but right now I need to just sink in what's just happened to me. Not a half an hour later, I get a text message from him, from Steve, because I've already stored his name and his number in my phone. And he's like, hey, it's me. I'm just checking if you need him rescuing again. And I'm like, no, I'm good. And I guess it was just flirty, and I'm like, I'm good for now, thanks. And he's like, oh, maybe you'd like to go out for dinner or something like that. And I was like, this is text. I'm like, oh, this is really sweet. Okay, why not? So I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. So we carry on texting back and forth, and eventually we go on a date. This date then led to a very fast relationship. Very fast. We literally, I mean, we moved in together pretty quick. We left the area that, wow, I need to stop a minute. How do I stop? Okay, sorry about that. I had to take a quick break. Just on a jump cut, because I've just had an hour between telling this story where I needed to just gather myself, because I felt a huge emotion that took me by surprise, and it certainly wasn't emotion towards this guy. It was actually an emotion of almost guilt for thinking about my kids. I mean, it wasn't bad. I mean, nothing bad happened to them, but I was about to tell you guys how we moved in, and it just kind of dawned on me in that moment how that shouldn't have happened so quickly, and I'm really ashamed of myself for that. I mean, he never hurt them or anything like that, but they were young, but they knew he hurt me, and that is what I'm mad at myself about, for letting this go on as long as it did. So I'm going to finish part one of this, because it is going to be so long. So let me just finish up my bullet points of, because there's just so much ish this guy did, so much. So getting back onto it, so sorry. So where was I up to? I was up to the move. Okay, so we've been together, things were going great, we were just getting on so well, I was in love, or so I thought, Then we say, hey, I was due to move back down south, because that was where I'd lived prior to being up north, and I wanted to go back down south. And because he was a police officer, he said, oh, because I told him from the offset, I'm not staying, I'm going to be moving. And he said to me, I'll put in a transfer. And I'm like, really? You really want to do that? He's like, yeah, I want to do it. I want to be. I was like, oh my gosh, thank you. So he's telling me how this transfer is all going ahead. So I'm like, okay. And we start looking at properties and things. And then out of the blue, a few months in, he tells me I can't get the transfer. And I'm like, oh great. Now we're a good few months in and I'm like, well, I can't walk away now. I mean, I only wanted to move because I wanted to move. I mean, there was no other reason, but I thought, well, if we want to be together, I'm going to have to stay until he can transfer. So I did that. I stayed, but I said I want to move area. I want to move to another place. So we picked the place together, mostly persuaded by him. We're sort of between one of the police headquarters and the other station he worked at. But essentially out in the middle of nowhere where I knew nobody. We were in this big old house and we move in, everything's great. It's going well and the kids are happy, and just after we moved in, we went into the beautiful big back garden. We went in there and he got down on one knee and had a ring and he proposed to me. And he's like, will you marry me? And I was like, I just felt like everything was coming together. This was my second chance. Everything was coming right. I was just amazed, and yeah. And this is where it started to go downhill. So we moved in together into this big house up in this area. And I had a couple of very close friends at the time, which I'm sad to say I'm not friends with now, for various different reasons, but he did not help the situation at all in hindsight. I lost one of my very, very best friends, and I think a lot of it was to do with him poisoning me. Now, I can't blame him solely, because there were other reasons, but it was very classic of him to isolate me from my friends. And I don't, I don't have too much family. But yeah, isolate. Sorry, my hair's it's just annoying me because it's just fresh, it's still drying. Isolating me from people. I didn't twig, red flag number one, but I missed it. I completely missed it. Then the verbal abuse came. I literally couldn't, it's like he just changed. And we're in the middle of nowhere. And we've moved in together. And I couldn't afford this house on my own. We both needed to. I was working, he was working. But obviously he had a better, I say obviously because he was a police officer, a detective constable, so he was earning more than I was. And slowly but surely his drinking, wow, he was an alcoholic. I don't know how he didn't get caught, or still doesn't to this day at work. His drinking was heavy, and that's something very close to me, not because I've ever had a drink problem, but people very close to me have, and I see how it destroys lives. And he knew that about me. He knew I'm all for anyone having a drink. Go ahead. I'm not going to judge you if you want to drink. Party on. I'm talking about drinking in the day, all day, if it was a weekend. Anyway, then the abuse started. Just putting me down at every opportunity. Just constantly putting me down. And I didn't, when I say poisoning, like I'd have a little issue with my friends. I was feeling insecure and I'd say, what do you think about this? And he'd be like, oh no, she's taking the mick completely, cut her off, she's fake. And in the end, I ended up isolating myself completely. And which was classic, along with his controlling behaviour, which then snuck into the story. So I had this one friend and actually no, I had two that I'd met here. So my long-term friends are pretty much lost because my children went to school here. It's a small village. There was a guy who I was introduced to who lived bang opposite the school, and the ladies, bear with me, the lady was also my friend who lived on this side of the road to the school. She was next door to the school, he was opposite the school. My car broke down one day, he was a mechanic. So he offered Helen, my friend, I don't know if I should have said your name, sorry Helen, she offered to ask Jason, was his name, to help me out with my car, jump leads, whatever, just get the car going. It was cold and my kids were in the car, and so this guy comes over and I called Steve. I said, listen, I know you're busy at work, my car's broke down, so I'm gonna have to walk home. And then whilst I'm in the phone call, I'm like, oh no, I've got someone that can help. He's like, well, I can't come. I'm like, no, it's fine. He was really angry at me, but I just got used to him being angry at me for no reason. You just do when you're in these emotionally abusive relationships. And this Jason guy, who I'd never met, was the loveliest chap. He was just so nice, and he was friendly with everyone, all the people in the village. Everyone knew him. He was a bit of a handyman. So he overheard Steve on the phone that this guy was coming to help out with the car. He didn't let me get to the point where I said, no, it's a friend of Helen's who lives opposite the school. He's just whatever. So this guy Jason comes, and he's, just jump started my car and look at it for me. He didn't have to do that, but he did, and subsequently we ended up being friends. Oh, he turns up at the school that day whilst Jason's got his head in my bonnet. He shoots him the filthiest look, and he's like, I've got it, like, move. I was like, oh, I'm really sorry, like, I just didn't know how to respond. I was mortified at how rude he was to him. And I was like, okay, so I thought, wow, it's awful. The next day, I had to apologise to him when I saw him. So I took my kids to school every day, so I'd see him as I was going in and coming out. If he was going into his van he had for work or coming out. And I said, oh, I'm really sorry about that. And he said, yeah, no, don't worry about it. Sorry, I heard something upstairs. Yeah, don't worry about it. Then Steve, my fiance at this point, he obsessed over Jason. He obsessed. Like, if I went to the shop around the corner in the village, did you see Jason? No, it was that bad. I didn't know until one day Jason came to me about a month in now after that incident, and he said he looked angry and upset. And I said he wasn't his friendly self. I was like, you okay? And he went, not really, no. And I thought, oh. I said, so I just dropped my kids off at school. I said, can I help with anything? He went, you can actually. Tell your crazy beeping Beyonce to stay the beep away from me and my family, because it was him and his son on his own that lives there. He had a teenage son. I was like, what? I don't understand. What? Tell me. I'm like, what? What's happened? He said he'd been stalking him, parked up outside. We're talking about a police officer now. Sitting outside of his house, following him to the shops just to intimidate him and stand there so he couldn't get out the doorway. Just petty, stupid things. He would sit in his car when I thought he was at work on nights or days and just sit, Jason told me, outside. And he even threatened his teenage son once when his teenage son come out and said, leave us alone, go away. Obviously, because I didn't speak to Jason that much, I didn't know anything about this, because in Steve's head, we were having this full-on relationship and we spoke every day. We didn't. I found all this out on this one day, and I was so apologetic to him, like, I'm so sorry. I thought, how am I going to keep him as a friend now when I've got a psychotic boyfriend doing that? And he said to me, I'm going to ring the police station and report him for what he's doing. And I was like, oh, please don't, you make it worse for me, please don't. I'll speak to him, I'll get him to stop, I'm so sorry. I won't be able to talk to you anymore though, because I don't want to bring any trouble to you, even though. And he's like, okay, but you need to get away from him because he's nuts. And I'm like, yeah, but brainwashed in love. I didn't. I just stopped speaking to Jason. I just give him a quick on the way into school, on the way out. But he was fixated that we were having something going on, but nothing ever went on. It was just, this is where the jealousy got just crazy jealousy about, and he had no reason at all to be jealous. And this one day, there was an incident literally outside of the school where Jason lived. And this is again a few weeks later, where Jason's had enough at this point, obviously, of behaviour. I was horrified. So the school is here, Jason's house is here. Waited until home time, if you like, and he offered to pick up the girls, and I thought, oh, that's really nice, thank you, okay, great, which he never really did. I was like, great, because he said he was finishing work at that time, blah, blah, blah. Okay. He put my kids in the car, stopped in the middle of the road whilst all the parents are coming out of school, saw Jason on his own front doorstep taking his tools in and out to his van, and screamed at him I wasn't there. I heard it obviously from my friend Helen across the road from the school, and Jay, I heard it from women in the school playground were telling me. He was effing and blinding. Stay away from my missus. Da 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 da. How mortified. My kids were in the car, and now you can imagine. You know what school mums are like as it is, but on top of all that now, all the school mums probably think I'm having an affair with Jason. So now I feel like I really can't even greet this guy anymore because people are going to think, well, why is her fiance kicking off at him? Something must have gone on. Oh my, they love to gossip. I didn't want to show my face. I didn't want to show my face anywhere. I didn't want to be seen. I was horrified, and horrified for my kids and embarrassed for my kids. And this is just the tip of the iceberg with his controlling behaviour. So we decided at this point it might be an idea to, even though we're engaged, to cool off. So not break up, just give each other a little more space. So he got this house down the road and he was living that, and then we were kind of together every day, and it seemed to be working out a little better that way. Even though in the back of my mind I'm thinking, well, how are we going to get married if this is how we're... Yeah, I should have, but I didn't. I was hopeful it'd be okay, and I didn't. I just pretty much let him walk all over me, and well, I did let him walk all over me, and he was still as obsessive, but it was just nice having my own space a little bit, even though I knew I was going to have to move house because I couldn't afford that rent. And what he'd actually done was, we had the discussion about doing it, and then he'd straight up gone and got himself a place the next day from a friend at work that rents a house out, and I was like, oh, so I'm left paying the rent, which was £850 on this house per month. I'm like, what? And I'm freaking out. But anyway, I managed to stay there for a while, and eventually I did end up moving, which is going to be in part 2. But it also, which I never really spoke about, I did take photographs from the times when he would get drunk and shove me into walls. He got physical at times, mostly just pushing and shoving, but that's still not okay. And there's so much more that this guy did, but it's gonna have to be put into part 2, which I will do really, really soon, because this is just the tip of the iceberg. So I'm going to end this quick story time, not quick, it's quite long actually, on what he did next. I'm gonna give you this next piece, and then it'll be on to the next part. So it was a summer's day, and he came over, and he was drinking. It was a weekend, drinking a lot, and he said he was blowing the leaves off the front drive. One of them big blowers, they're loud. And I was out the back mowing a gigantic garden. So I'm out the back mowing the lawn, and he's doing the leaf blowing thing. That's it. My car's on the drive. Quite a new car I had, and I love that car. I really loved it. And then time passed, but I thought, oh, he's probably just, when I stopped to enter the grass box, the lawnmower stops and I couldn't hear the blower going. I thought he's probably gone inside to whatever. He's finished with that. And then I hear an almighty bang. So I drop I go running in, first check the kids are okay. Kids are okay. I look out the window, and there he is in my car, smashed up into the front wall. An old building, a beautiful cottage. He smashed into the wall. He had took my car without my consent. I thought he was just blowing the leaves. Took my car, drove to get more alcohol because I'd refused to do it earlier on. This is still the middle of the day. The car was written off because he was that drunk driving. It was written off. And I was fuming, but I didn't want to rile him by screaming at him. I was like, but I couldn't even get the driver's side door open because the whole front end of the bonnet had bent in like this. I said to her, what, why, how, what? And so he's ruined my car. He then talks me into taking the blame for it because he will lose his job because he was drink driving. And guess what your girl did? Because she's an idiot. I took the blame. It didn't make a difference really who did it, but I just can't believe me saying that. I can't believe I did that. I can't believe me saying that. I took the rap because he would have been done for drink driving and he was a police officer. And in hindsight, he should have been. And I would have let him. I would have. When you're with someone and you're that brainwashed. And another thing, the guy was already bankrupt because of his debts and his, which the police force knew about. They were fine with it. They were fine with it. They were okay. As long as you declared it, it's fine. This guy was a disaster. He was an absolute disaster. I feel a mixture of emotions thinking about this and telling these bits of the story because I feel so dumb and angry with myself at the same time for putting up with any of that. Like, I should have known better. All the red flags were there already by this point. But can you believe in part 2 we have where we get to the wedding? Just let me look at my notes. So we still have to come. Sorry, wrong page. We still have to come. The moving of houses again. I don't want to run through it all because I'll kill it for you. Oh, you're gonna love this next bit. This sister, his stepsister. Boy, is there a story there. Next part actually is going to be more juicy. It is. There's way more in this second part to come. But for now, I'm going to leave it there. And the next part is going to be the wedding, his stepsister, and some other crazy ish that this guy did. And he was relentless. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed. It's kind of morbid. I hope you enjoyed this story time. I love telling them. I like sharing my experiences. I'm happy to share this one because I really could care less whether this guy ever sees this video or not. I really couldn't care less. Yeah, I just want to keep putting content out there. Feel free to call me a douche for putting up with him in the comments. I know. And I will let you know how it all unfolds in part 2. And don't forget to subscribe if you're new or you've just stumbled upon this. And if you're already subscribed, then please leave me a like. That helps me out so much. And if you enjoy these, I will keep doing them. So stay safe, stay healthy, everybody. And I'll see you. So I think next I've got another reaction video coming up. Or is that before this? Not sure. Maybe before this and this comes up second. So you may have part 2 next. But it will be done this week. So yeah. Let me know if you're interested to hear part 2. It is juicy. That's it for now, guys. So thanks for listening. I'll see you next time. Bye.